Numbers 20 to 22, chapter 20, there's not much said about the 40 years in the wilderness for the Israelites. They were out of the will of God. And just like them, there's not much to say about us either when we are out of the will of God. The Israelites are back at Kadesh where they were 38 years before. And here they are complaining again for water instead of trusting God. God told Moses to speak to the rock, but Moses, in his frustration with the people, struck the rock twice. 1 Corinthians 10:4 tells us that the rock is a type of Christ. Moses had already struck the rock back in Exodus 17. He should have never struck it again. Jesus Christ would only be smitten once and for all. He would die once for the sin of mankind. Moses and Aaron were not allowed to go into the promised land because of the disobedience. Aaron died, and his son Eleazar was made high priest. Our great high priest Jesus Christ has been resurrected and is alive and always lives to make intercession for us. Numbers 21, Israel is on the march but must take the long way around Edom. This is discouraging, and they began to complain. When life is hard, we humans tend to complain. The Lord sent fiery serpents in judgment to bite them, and many died. Moses interceded for the people, and at the Lord's instruction made a bronze serpent and lifted it up on a pole. When one who was bitten looked on the bronze serpent, he would live. Salvation is just that simple. Whoever looks with faith on Jesus' sacrifice, as he too was lifted up on the cross, as was the bronze serpent, will live. Jesus became sin on that cross in our place. We look to him as sinners to be forgiven. We next see the Israelites singing praise as God gives them water. Next, he gave them victory over Sihon and Og. They're getting ready to enter the promised land. Do you sing praises to God? We were created to worship him, to sing praises to him, to trust him and talk to him, to tell him we love him throughout the day. In Numbers 22, the Israelites are poised to enter the land. Balak, king of Moab, is in the way and calls on the prophet Balaam to curse Israel. God clearly told Balaam not to go with Balak's party and not to curse Israel. Balak offered Balaam more, and Balaam sought God again. He already had God's answer. Do we do this? Get a clear answer from God and then look for a loophole? God told Balaam to go in his permissive will, but God was not pleased. God even tried to bring Balaam to his senses through empowering his own donkey to speak to him. Someone has said it was a miracle in Balaam's day when an ass spoke, and it's a miracle in our day when one keeps quiet. It's also interesting to note that the ass had more sense than the compromised prophet. Balaam was lured by more money and it compromised his spiritual ears. The way we choose to hear God, this can happen to us too. Let's go ahead and move up here to Mark chapter 7, verses 1 through 13. The Pharisees and scribes challenged Jesus as to why he didn't take part in the ritual tradition of the elders of washing hands before eating. They accused him of having impure hands. Jesus said, "Rightly did Isaiah prophesy of you hypocrites, as it is written, 'This people honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.'" He was saying they adhered to ritual and external show of religion, but there was no true intimacy and obedience because of their love, relationship, and fellowship with God, and their desire to please him. Here's the modern day picture. A sharply dressed person with a big old honkin' Bible under their arm, knows all the Christian lingo like "I'm blessed, brother," is even in church every Sunday, may be in the choir and on several committees, but has no intimate fellowship with the person of Jesus Christ whatsoever.